You're so good at this, and I think I've said this from day one. Why did I just say live? Why did my thing just bounce on live now? That was funny.
Did this just start?
No. It couldn't have. No, everyone's here.
Yeah, but everyone's here before we go live.
Yeah. No, because I did the video. I clicked live first.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it did. No. Yeah, I think it did. Oh my god. Guys in the chat, did you see the intro? Please let me know.
Crystal said, did this just start? Yes, it literally just started.
Oh my goodness.
Holy shit.
Guys.
And it demonetized. Look at that. All in one fell swoop. No intro. Okay.
All right. Well, you know what? That's guys, I thought I clicked live.
It's Sterling's fault.
It's totally my fault. When you click live, Reese, you don't have to click it twice, right? It's go live. Did I forget to click it twice?
As far as I know, man, but I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm fairly green.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, welcome everyone. And
should we recap our 6-minute conversation without anybody?
Holy crap. Well, we talked about the kind gesture he sent Huxley a baseball glove.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't remember a time before this. So welcome everyone. And I want to say something. Sterling, does everyone agree with me? When I first saw him today, he looks like he's Benjamin Buttoning it. What's going on, Sterling? You look really young. Like you look like you're like in your 20s. What happened? Did we shave off the bush?
I trim it shorter sometimes. So
weird.
Yeah,
we have that in common.
Yeah.
You really do look younger. It's kind of weirding me out.
Thank you so much, guys. If you missed it, we actually did start this live at 1:01, or at least we thought we did, with my intro, with the whole conversation. Reese and I were talking, and then out of the corner of my eye, my live sign blinked on. I'm like, no, come on. I knew I clicked live. We had my whole intro, everything. We're talking about baseball games, Huxley giving away baseball gloves. Yeah.
Usual Reese and Sterling style. We like to really wing it. We're riding dirty. We like to ride dirty.
Oh my goodness. I almost want to play my intro again. You know what? I'm going to play my intro at the end then, because I love my intro.
Okay, play it at the end.
I'll play it at the end because I don't want to ruin this.
He's doing a lot of new boot scooting. Yeah. And goofing.
But yes.
Wild.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. That's oh, did I show you? I don't know if you guys saw this, just before I forget, because I will. Did you see what John sent me? Shostowski.
Oh, that's so cute. I love John and his fun gifts.
And he told me last week, and I didn't know this originally, but this is actually a puppet. So yeah, like
yes. I was hoping you would do it. And he didn't disappoint you guys. John, you're the best.
John, you are unbelievable. I told him already that was like my favorite. I'm going to replace DM with that guy there.
Absolutely.
Yep. Oh, okay.
I still can't believe that we spent 6 minutes just talking to each other. Good to see you two, says Blake. Hey, Sterling, did you see my first live debut on the Chatathon? I wore a chipmunk on my head.
I did not. I was working long hours yesterday, so I did not see anything yesterday.
Mm-hmm. You work all the time.
But now I'm going to go back and see it. Would you wear a chipmunk hat? Was it like the Disney one, or what are we talking about?
Like, was it a full costume?
Yes, that's what I'd be interested in. Yes, that one.
Yes, Alana, we are professionals, and don't forget.
And normally, that's so funny. Normally, I like to have all my ducks in a row, everything perfect. I cannot believe it's just because it's been so long. I cannot believe that I did not click live again, which makes me wonder, how did it go live then? Maybe there's a time.
Did it go live?
It did. Yeah.
You know, do you iron your t-shirts?
Absolutely not. fact, I wrinkled them even more by leaving him in the washer after for too long.
Come on, John. He's a bachelor. We know this. Are you still a bachelor or did you get married? Because it's only been a couple of years. I haven't caught up with you.
Since I last, still a bachelor.
Still a bachelor. Have you been boning down or anything?
Still navigating the LA dating scene, which is tough, but and working a lot. So yes and no. It's a mix.
You kind
It's a
of
mix.
avoided
But
the question.
hey, beach volleyball started back up, and that's a place to meet people. So
I bet there's a lot of big ones.
it's co-ed, so good chance.
Do they really bounce?
So you're saying there's a chance?
Well, I have to say you're super cute. You shouldn't have a problem. Have you been getting down or no?
Oh my God, we're jumping right into the personal stuff. No,
all you have to say is yes or no. I'm not going to ask details.
I feel like I'm on the spot. I'm beginning to sweat a little bit.
Okay, well, dust yourself off.
This is why I've missed the conversations with Reese. No, I have not been. And my twin brother's been giving me a hard time about that. So he calls me on a regular basis. Okay. But soon, I think. Good.
Looking at more like a midsummer leg.
Well, I think I mentioned already, I'm going to Chicago this year for a family reunion. And then I'm heading to Sweden to visit my Swedish friends. And apparently in Sweden, I'm 6'2". So, that's awesome.
Yeah, but didn't you tell me that all the Swedish babes are like 6'5"?
They are, but apparently they dig US men. So,
Okay.
We'll see what happens there.
I
know, isn't that strange?
Get down in Sweden. I would bring some condoms.
Thank you for the advice. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I love traveling. It's what?
That's incredibly exciting. And Swedish Fish Andrea lives there.
Oh, hey, Andrea, how you doing? Okay, but enough about me. Back to you. What is happening? Oh, we discussed Hux's glove. You said he went to a Kansas City game. Awesome, by the way.
I like how you changed the subject, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I know. Good change of subject. And I right as we were not live when we thought we were discussing this interesting thing is that I actually tend to give baseball gloves away quite a bit. It's just a thing I do. I don't know why, especially to, like a kid that's got an old beat up glove or, I don't know what their means are necessarily. I don't talk to parents, but I like to give baseball gear away to people. It's just something I enjoy. And I was thinking back on why that may be. And as I told you, Reese, it was when I was a kid, my mom, Barbara, who raised me, my stepmom, had a very close friend that was an ex-Major League Baseball player. And one day he showed up at my house, our apartment, and, gave me all of his old gloves and all of his old bats, Mizuno gear because he played in Japanese league. And I'll never forget that. I might as well have been a millionaire at that point. Up to that time, I had always been using my Dodgers glove that I got a plastic one at a Dodgers game. So it's always been a thing to me because it's like you could give a kid $1,000, you could give him items to play the sport he loves. And it really made such an impact on me as a kid. So I kind of forward that now. It's sort of a weird thing, but I do.
I love that you do that. And again, like I said, when we thought we were live, but we actually weren't, I'll say it again now, since there's people here. I thought it was really, I knew there was some kind of a backstory to that, like why you sent that to Huxley, but I didn't know it. And I'm glad that you shared that because I think that's so sweet.
Yeah. And I wanted to see a video of you playing catch with Huxley. So we got to make that happen.
Excuse me, me playing catch?
You playing catch with Hux. Yes.
I don't even know how to put air in a tire. I don't.
Well, no. And I do remember. So I'm going to show you because I have one right here. I do remember when you first did your video with Huxley and you have this baseball glove. I loved how you went like this and said, is it like that?
Well, I don't know if you recall, I also said it's like picking up a bowling ball. And then John Van Geest was like, what bowling ball have you ever picked up that was,
And so in baseball, if you're right-handed, you catch with your left hand. Okay. And then you
had to explain that to me. I didn't know that.
I know. I saw you throw with your right hand. So it's a bit of a thing.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. It seemed very foreign to me that you catch with your.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We should do a game night soon. We should.
I blame you. I don't know why we haven't.
Well, here's what I want to do. I'm going to be doing a live with my sister Jenna sometime in the very near future. and Mike and Jenny again, and that would be a great group. Wow, Mike, Jenny, Jenna, yourself, and me would be a very, very fun group, and mix it up a little bit. So if we can,
Would you really invite me?
are you kidding me? It's not a game night without you.
Well,
Are
I
you
mean,
joking? Some of
well,
our best moments have been on game nights. What about the cottage cheese and the golf ball incident? Come on, it's
seems
it's
like
it's
years ago.
hilarious.
Yeah. Seems like a long time ago, but it was fun. I love the game nights. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed them.
Yeah, we'll do it. I mean, once the schedule clears up a little bit, and I think it will in June, we'll have more time for that sort of thing.
Are you sure? Because it sounds like co-ed volleyball is about to start. The schedule is gonna
That's Wednesday
get
nights. So that works
cloudy.
out well. No,
Well,
yeah, Wednesday night, it works out well. Wednesday nights. I'll have Saturday mornings and sometimes on Sundays. So
okay.
it's Memorial Day weekend, so I don't have a Sunday game today. Usually I have 2 softball games on Sunday. But no, I want to do it. I had so much. First of all, I love game nights. I love playing board games. Doing it live with people is hilarious, especially with people I like and I think are funny. So yeah,
Doing it live with people as opposed to not live and without people?
well, I could sit here and yeah, I could sit here and ask myself questions, but I don't think it's going to be the same thing.
Just had to clarify. Okay. We're
Yeah.
on the same page.
I'm being very specific. I'm being descriptive.
That
That's
was
just what I do.
really specific. That
That was very specific.
Scientology specific is what that
Like
was.
super specific.
That was time, place, form, and event right there.
Put 3 fingers between the stitches and hurl it, Reese. Shucks, you got them hands. Yes. Reese, I have a feeling you'd be really good at throwing the ball. I really do.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
I think you have an arm.
Bring a lot of gusto. Yeah. Thank you, Blakey. No, I'm sure you're right.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds accurate. I'm sure that I'm underneath it all. I'm incredibly athletic.
I think you
I
are.
have the body for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
It's a gift.
It's a gift.
It's a gift.
Do you go to Huxley's baseball games?
Some might call me a hero. Yes, I go to every game, but I don't understand anything.
Are you one of the moms that yells at the umpire, or are you just like, okay, let it happen?
What would I be yelling at? I have no idea what's going on.
All right.
No. As a matter of fact, he hit the ball and started running, and I was videoing it, and like 10 seconds in, I was like, oh, yay, go, team. No, I'm delayed. I have a bit of a comm lag, if you would call it. One guy made fun of me at the game because he was like, he's got to walk it or something. And I was like, he has to what?
Walk it?
What is that right? Do a walk?
Yeah, he has to walk, meaning would be 4 balls. Yeah. But you don't necessarily say it that way. It's funny because I will not make fun of you because you don't pretend to be a baseball fan. But I have friends that are baseball fans that will commonly use the wrong phrasing for a baseball terminology. It's sort of my pet peeve. I'm a little bit like, no, that's not how you say that.
I don't think I've ever pretended to know anything and try to like act like I know. Pretty sure I've never done that. No.
Never. You're completely free of that. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear an interesting story?
I think John's right. I passed all that athletic ability on to Huxley.
Every single bit of it. Now, mind you, that being said,
thank you, John.
Have you ever been to a family reunion and played sports with your aunts and uncles?
Oh, a family reunion with my huge family? Yeah, tons of people. We have one of those every year. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never met my family.
Sorry.
So, no.
Well,
try again.
Once a majority of my family left Scientology, once in every blue moon, every 10 years or so, we get a little gathering together. And the last time we did this, we played volleyball with my mom and my aunts and my sister and her husband at the time and all that kind of stuff. And it was very interesting to see which members of my family absolutely can and cannot play sports. And I will not mention them by name because they're still upset with me because the razzing they got at that particular event. But it is pretty interesting to see when you're like, okay, so I got no athletic ability from that family member.
Oh yeah, Sterling, I don't know anything about any sport. Like I don't know words or anything.
That's all right. Again, I told you, I think I actually that to me is a quality I actually enjoy.
I'm sure it is. It sounds like something that would be right up your alley. I come to think of it, I'm not well versed in anything.
That's not true.
No, it's true. I'm not trying to say I'm dumb. I'm just saying like I've never spent time doing anything
Style
as a hobby. Okay, fine. That's about it though.
No, but you've got wonderful style. You at least you always bring a smile to my face when I see how you're dressed.
Well, you're a little angel with a button nose, and everybody knows it. But the thing is, I'm being serious. Like, I don't have some like hobby on the side where I'm like, oh yeah, and I could just shoot it off and start talking about it. No,
Right. But
definitely
you and
not.
I, even though we both grew up in under the net of Scientology, had quite different upbringings. So, I mean, I think for me, and it's funny because I've had people say in the chat, no, you weren't really, you didn't have a temper issue. That's just what Scientology told you. No, actually, Scientology did not tell me that. I had a temper issue or an authority issue as a kid. So I got in trouble constantly. I got kicked out of public school and Scientology private school. But where I didn't get kicked out of was baseball games. And so somehow my mom, my stepmom Barbara, had the foresight to get me into organized sporting events or organized sports as a kid, which really kept me out of a lot of trouble, Reese. It really did.
I knew that, and I'm really actually quite happy. Not everybody got to have that kind of what you just said growing up in
No,
Scientology.
and I still don't know how she did it. I don't know how. I was in the C organization. I mean, I wasn't personally. My parents were.
Thank you, Rain. Love you, girl. No, that's true. That's true for you. And what's true for you is what's true for you.
It is. It's quite unbelievable that she did that. But props to her. Props to her on that.
No, I'm serious. That is cool. It's almost like having an outlet.
Is exactly right.
And not everybody got that. I don't feel like I got that. And I didn't take up any hobbies or do anything. So, I mean, now I'm going to be 40 in a couple months, and I'm trying to think, like, I really enjoy cheese. I like vacuuming. I like dusting.
Wait, what kind of vacuum? What kind of vacuum do you have?
We already talked about this. Nobody has a meal like you do. Okay.
Oh my God. Isn't it Miele?
Who cares, fancy man? I have a Dyson. Okay.
Hey, no, look, seriously. Dyson's like getting the silver medal. That's awesome.
But I got mine at Costco on sale. It's not the same.
No, it doesn't matter. It's still a nice vacuum. At least it's not a Hoover.
It's not quite the same.
Yeah, at least it's not a Hoover. Yeah, I do have a Miele.
Oh no, I remember this stream very well. You have a $1,500 vacuum you ordered from some friend in Germany
that I only use once a month.
Smart vacuum.
Yeah. Oh, I used to have one of those. Those were awesome.
Yeah, we learned a lot about you. You have a Tesla. You have a Harley. You're a fancy man. We get it.
Not a fancy man. Not an economical man. What would be the word?
Definitely not that.
I'm a gadget person. I love gadgets. I love
Mm-hmm.
hooking things up. Those are the things I like, which is weird. Again, it's one of those things you find out after you leave. Now, after what was interesting, and I don't know if this is the case with everyone, and it might be the case with you, but I doubt it. I think you've always been you, by the way. I really do believe that. You have that age-old argument about, some people that when they were in the church were complete, shipheads, right? And I didn't swear. That was ship, guys. Ship.
I actually heard that. I heard the P. Good for you. You really pronounced that well.
And then they come out and they're a little less that way. And then there's some people that just always are the same person. I kind of have always been the same person, though. When I left and I had more means, obviously I got more hobbies and different things I didn't think I was interested in. Baseball will not be that. I was always interested in baseball, but in your regards, did something like that change for you, or were you just, again, the same person you were, but now you have freedom? So does that make sense? Because some people are not nice when they're there. They come out, they're nicer. But I think if you were generally a certain way and you stayed that way, it's because you've always, that is your personality deep down, and you refuse to let the programming of Scientology change your basic personality when you were there.
Yes, I think I think I had my basic personality. If you go back and watch the thing with Aaron, which I haven't, but a lot of people have said you were more mousy, kind of more a little bit subdued. So I would say I was that. And once I got my voice, I was just more me. But
you were
no,
off
I don't.
running.
I don't feel like I changed when I got out so much. Like, I've always been the same person, and I think you and I have always been the same person, and we were always in trouble. I was always in trouble in Scientology. So if that tells you anything, that kind of tells you you've always been that person then, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I would agree with you.
If we made it to OT8 and we were little soldiers like everybody else, then we would probably get out and change, because then you find your identity and your voice. We were always in trouble, which means we were doing something wrong in there, which means we were being ourselves, is kind of how I look at that.
I would agree with you 100%. And also not moving up the bridge past a certain point too would be one factor, because I always had this standard of I thought there would be some sort of superpower coming along with it. And if that wasn't it, I was like, no, like then what are we doing this for? It's not,
Yes.
come on. I mean, we're supposed to be superhuman after this. And when it didn't get there, I was like, yeah, not so much.
Not so
Not
much.
so much.
Not so much. Yeah.
But also, I didn't experience a class 5 org, which is interesting, and you did, which is different. But again, this is why everything's so fascinating with all the content creators. Is I would argue, your dad was a complete, idiot, for lack of a better word, and I think, sans Scientology, my parents would have been excellent. And considering the circumstances, I think they did a pretty damn good job inside there. You would even, even Justin said to me recently, and Justin grew up with my mom and stepfather. And this is not a hit against my mom, but Justin even said, by the way, I saw how you lived with Foster and Barbara. You had it way better. And it's true, because Foster and Barbara were so laid back, easygoing, fun. We got a day off when I was a kid. I must have been 8 or 9 years old. My dad said, hey, let's go to the beach. The traffic was bad. We stopped off somewhere near the LA Coliseum. And we snuck into an LA Raiders Seahawks game and got to see Bo Jackson play, because we didn't have the money to get in. So my dad was like, hey, there's a hole in the fence. Let's go. He was that type of personality. Yeah. He was kind of wild like that.
Your Scientology parents were unusual compared to a lot of
very.
You had really nice parents that actually liked their children.
Yes.
I've not seen much of that.
Absolutely
Most of them let the church raise their kids, and it was like every adult was the parent of that child. They gave up parental rights, and they were usually kind of punishing. They always had some kind of like a "what did you do" mentality. Your parents were super cool,
and that's
I
the
was really
thing.
happy for you about that.
That doesn't take away from everyone, because a lot of people have a bad experience. I've talked about my horrible experience in the Cadet Org, but then I left the Cadet Org after 2 years, and I actually forgot that I had done that until Jenny and Mike were interviewing Jorge Avila, and he was the CO, or the commanding officer of the Cadet Org at the time, and he remembers Sterling just left, and it's true. I forgot that I just left. My mom was like, yeah, ain't gonna work out for you there. I mean, I was getting in fights every day. They were trying to lock me in an office, and I just wouldn't have any of that. So, I know, right? That's one of the points I want to make. There are tons of terrible parents inside and outside of Scientology. And if you give a horrible parent the power of Scientology to hold over and abuse their child, it gets really bad. But then you do have scenarios where there are actually good parents that try to do their best. Was it a good decision for them to let me be in the Cadet Org? No. Did they let me go to the children's rehabilitation program? Yeah, they did. But I was there for 2 days. And when I came out crying, they did not put me back. They said, okay, we're not letting you go back. I understand that.
That's
and I don't
rare.
Very.
Most kids come out crying over something in Scientology, and the parents double, triple down.
Yes.
Like, too bad. Now you're really doing it.
Yes,
and we're going to make it even worse for you. Like,
exactly.
That's the typical.
That's the
typical. Oh, look, it's Tommy. He says hi to you.
No, hey, Tommy, what's up?
Hey, and there's Tampa B. Love Tampa B.
It's a Riesling.
Love you, Barbara. Isn't that the truth? You agree with that? Like, you got really loving parents.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, again, not perfect. Again, anything in Scientology cannot be perfect, especially on how to raise children.
You had horrible times. I'm not trying to discount.
Oh,
Sterling had horrible. He was treated horribly, but his parents, it was rare. You got rare parents there.
Yeah, I can't. I don't have a childhood memory with my parents where I go, they were ever nasty, mean to me, or honestly, if I had a problem, my mom was always there for a conversation. There was always an ability to talk it out or do something. And, it's just interesting, because as I hear more stories, it's like, okay, I see there's a large variance of different people's experience. And I'm horrified by your experience. I'm horrified by Kelly Copter's experience. Even Serge Gill's experience with his parents, who I know, and I can see that. I can see when Serge has spoken about it, I can see his parents being that. Of course, they were very cordial and nice when I was around, but I could see that deep down there was that sort of thing. And so the variant, and I only bring up Serge because I knew his parents. I met his parents. But yeah, there's so many variances of different stories. It's quite unbelievable, actually.
But there's a common denominator. And I was just
Yeah.
going to ask you this because I just thought of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, variables and different stories, but the common denominator is most of the parents were not quite as bad as mine, but
Yeah.
most of them were quite mean to their children. And
Mhm.
again, I would say they took off their parenting abilities and let the church run that for the child. Like they didn't trump, like they would let another person discipline the child. Like
Yeah.
everybody was the parent growing up. Um, do you think Scientology recruits like I don't want to say this because a lot of Scientologists I can think of that I knew are really good people. They just
Yeah.
are in a bad situation. But some of them, they seem to be bad people and then it just enhanced it. Like Dan O'Connor,
Oh,
like
yeah.
my dad, really nasty people. It's almost like Scientology tends to attract that.
Yes, I think so because it's someone that ordinarily wouldn't have the capability to attain any sort of power position, and in Scientology, anyone can gain a power position. But, and it's been mentioned a number of times, and I think, and someone can disagree with me on this, but I think universally at any Scientology or Sea Organization location, any person that was put in a position to be over or control children was put there not because they were good with children, but because they had been removed from another position for being horrible. So anyone that was taking care of children was an afterthought. They were put there only because they didn't want them somewhere else. And that's horrible because the only people that should be dealing with children are people that are good at dealing with children. And in Scientology, in my opinion, absolutely every base that had any sort of child rearing unit, it was the worst of the people on that base that were doing that, believe it or
That
not.
is such a good point.
Yeah, it really was. And Jenny Strom remembered the name of the guy that bane of my existence when I was in LA. I think his name was Bob Harrison, or we called him Harry Harrison. And just a vicious, vicious person. I mean, he spanked me twice and I would have none of it. I think I threw something at him once. He was just so strong. He could actually pin me down. I was kind of squirmy and could get away usually, but he did once or twice. And I remember that was it. I was done with that. I wouldn't have any of that. He was nasty person. Again, a person running children that should never be over children in any way, shape, or form. Doesn't mean there wasn't an odd, nice person or a really good person, but in this case, no. Scientology definitely. Children, as we've mentioned several times, are an afterthought, for sure. Yep. Crazy.
Children are almost a nuisance, I would say, in Scientology.
Yes, I would put them more in that category. They're a nuisance until they become slave labor. They're a nuisance. They're a pain in the butt.
Yeah, they're a nuisance until they can be a bigger being and in that smaller body. And
Yep.
where I grew up and was raised, they would say like kids are dramatized. They dramatize all the time. They're just like, I remember a kid that was on the floor screaming and throwing a fit. He was like 2, 3 when I was on staff once. And Alex Carr, the qualifications secretary, walked past him. He's the oldest longtime staff member in Kansas City. And he walked past it and the kid was bawling. And Alex pointed to the kid and went, "I'm not going to give in to that dramatization." And he walked over him, like stepped over the body of the child. Yeah. I mean, but it's like, you're just an annoyance. Like just, I'm not going to, I've got the planet to clear. I'm not going to put up with it.
I'm going to move on. No, again, there's so many different horrific stories and it is so true. When you do say, it seems like an innocuous statement when you first hear it. In fact, as a child, sometimes you'll take it as, oh yeah, I can be an adult. But really the statement, that children are just adults in small bodies is when seen from a different view and a different light is so ridiculous, and it opens the door for so many different treatments and types of behaviors. It kind of gives a blanket okay for a lot of abuses that should never be there. And
absolutely, it's almost like you just said. It's almost like an excuse.
Yeah.
Like L. Ron Hubbard almost paved that path. I'm sure, I don't say almost, he did, and it's by design and it's intentional. He says some pretty ugly things about kids. I found
and coming from a father that was terrible at raising his own kids.
Terrible.
Yeah, I was like, what qualifies him? I mean, if that guy's telling you about how to save your marriage, what are you talking about? Like, it's funny when you leave, you end up seeing this. You're like, why would I listen to that guy about anything?
Especially somebody who never once brushed their teeth. I mean, if that's not enough right there.
Isn't brush your teeth one of the way to happiness presets?
Dental care. Yes, it is.
It's
Yes,
so
it is.
ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so, so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But again, and each of us has a different story about our childhood, and it always affects different people in different ways. A lot. I was having dinner with my Swedish friends last night, or not last night, Friday night. And there was a speech therapist that came to the dinner. It was a friend of a friend. And she asked me about Scientology and we started talking about it. And she was paying attention to the tonal range of my voice and when I got excited or when I talked about things. And she actually just went quiet at one point just to hear how I was when I was describing things. And she said some fascinating stuff. One of which is like, she goes, I can see in your voice, your pitch, almost right away when you either get excited or are upset or different things like that. And and again, I don't want to make it sound like she was being mean or trying to evaluate for me. She actually was very kind and polite, but she was like, if you slow down and breathe a little bit more between sentences and talk like that, it would be much easier to understand and go with you. And it made me think for a second. We always talk about this trauma that we have from being there, and sometimes we get therapy, and sometimes we don't recognize exactly what it is. But her pointing that out led me right to the fact that I do understand sometimes, especially when I get into a high stress environment or situation, my tonality changes quite a bit. And a lot of people mistake it for me getting more angry or really tense. I don't see it because obviously I'm not looking in the front of a mirror. And but it fascinates me. It's almost like that's something that would be fun to go and look into and address, because even though we were children, small bodies, adults in small bodies, there was a lot of defensiveness and stress that we had to grow up with because everything was about survival. Because of the Scientology ethics conditions and what they throw people into, and the constant pressure and the having to do good and having to look right to everybody and be a good little Scientologist. We were constantly in a defensive position, trying to always do the right thing. And when we were accused of doing something wrong, we learned to be very defensive because we did not have an out. There was no advocate that would say, let's talk about it and let's really see what happened there. You were wrong or you were right. And it was a split second where you could argue that. And after that split second, you were going to be wrong. And you had no out for that. You just had to eat it. And that carries on through adulthood, I think, a lot of times where,
Not only wrong, it wasn't, I just want to say one thing. I want you to finish this though.
Yeah.
Not only wrong, but now here's a whole ethics handling of what you have to do. It wasn't like you're wrong, move on. It was you're wrong, and here's a list of all the things now that you have to go through. That's torture because you were wrong, and now you got to go past life and pull all your overts and withholds. I mean, it was super torture. Go on though, because
you kind of have to wear it as a badge. It's like I'm surprised they did not do the scarlet letter in Scientology. I'm really surprised they did not make us wear. I mean, there's the Rehabilitation Project Force, but separate from that, when you were in trouble inside the group, whether it was Class 5 org, whether it was a C organization, there was always, if you were in trouble, and somehow everyone knew it, but I'm just surprised they didn't come up with a color coding system to let everyone know that you were in the shits. But
you were under constant pressure. That's true too. But I something you said just a second ago, I want to ask you before I forget, because
sure, go ahead.
This is so my life. And as a matter of fact, Jeff has said this to me for years. Do you feel this way as an ex-Scientologist? I have been told everything's black and white for you. Even my therapist will say this, like there's no gray area. It's either this or that. It's almost like right or wrong. That's how it is in Scientology. There is no like, well, we're going to let it slide because no, it is black and white. You're either like, you're in trouble or you're not.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not.
I agree with you more than you possibly know. And those are the exact same words I've used to describe it before. And even to this day, when there is a scenario that comes up at work or with a friend and it's black or white, I refuse to believe it's one way or the other. I refuse to go.
I'm not there yet.
In Scientology, it was one party that was wrong. It was you always.
Yes.
And that's also a black or white.
Scientology works in absolutes.
Yeah. And I also believe if you have something come up, a little drama, you need to take a look at what part of that drama you had. If it's a big fight or something like that, there's no way it's just one person's crazy.
And what did you do to cause it?
Yeah. Now, I don't believe in going, if you get hit by a car, of course, I do not believe in the what did you do to cause it? That's just stupid. That's, again, black or white. Relationships, people, things are nuanced. And I can't stand it when it gets labeled one or the other. I believe you have to dissect the whole thing to figure out what's happening. In Scientology, even though they preach that's what they do, they don't, because Scientology always has to be right. Always has to be right. It can't be wrong. In fact, if Scientology is wrong, then the world's going to crash, right? So no matter what happens, especially if it's against Scientology, you have to be wrong at some point. And I fight that every day of my life. If someone gets accused of doing something, I'm like, no, okay, did that person actually do it? Let's look into what happened. Let's look at the scenario and figure out what the actual answer to it is, and then go from there. Because one thing, Scientology believed that someone like you or me that was being out ethics, we were doing it intentionally to destroy some portion of Scientology. That's not true.
We were sure told that, Sterling. We were sure told that.
We're human beings. If there, no joke, if there was a small fire in a trash can because someone threw away a cigarette, and let's give an example, Reese, you and I were in an org in Kansas City. We were working late. You smoked. I didn't. We went home. There was a small fire that eventually got put out. No problem. They would interrogate you. Let's say you threw the cigarette in there. They did that deduction at least. They would interrogate you like you were trying to burn down the org.
And all your past life planets you blew up.
Exactly.
They would go whole track, and they would pull every planet you ever blew up and all the civilizations you killed past life. And I'm not exaggerating. Am I exaggerating?
No, not even a little bit. And they will not even look into the fact that, oh, I'm sorry, did we just have Reese up for 3 straight days, averaging 4 hours sleep a night? And then as she went home, she thought she put out her cigarette and threw it in there. No, it's you tried to burn down the org. And then it gets worse, Reese. Not only did you try to burn down the org, you tried to burn down the org so that you could destroy David Miscavige's legacy, so that you could stop the planet from being freed.
I have an excellent example of that, of real life that happening. One of our longtime staff members, she was on staff over 30 years, worked probably the most hours, like 16-hour days. She lost her key to the building. Couldn't find it. Lost the key. I think she lost her whole set of keys is what happened. And that was on it. This individual was in lower conditions for 9 months.
Wow.
Yep. Because she was told that she was trying to let criminals in, totally against Scientology, trying to take it down, total out ethics, suppressive behavior. This person was scrubbing toilets for almost a year over that, because they became an enemy. You're immediately in lower conditions and you're an enemy to the church. And until you get to your doubt condition where you can decide what team you want to play for, the non-Scientology criminals or Scientologists. Yep. Huge trouble. Almost a year for losing her key to the building. Which
brings up an interesting point. You know, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's the same as the trash can example.
Yeah, something as innocuous as losing a key.
An accident.
It's not great, but it takes $100 call to a locksmith to change the lock. But
it's black and white. It's
very black and white.
Yep.
I wonder, for all the doubt conditions, guys, a doubt condition is one of the formulas that you do in Scientology in order to better a part of your life. So if you're in lower conditions, you're kind of in the shits. But if you move up these condition formulas, you'll get to a higher condition, quote unquote, be more able. But doubt formula is an interesting one.
You're back in good standing once you get out of the lower ones.
The doubt formula is an interesting one because there's a part, the first step, I believe, the doubt formula, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. My memory is intentionally blocked out. There we go. Has intentionally blocked out.
Let me get that for you, Sterling.
Yeah, most of that information. I do not have any Scientology books, guys. I have 1984, which is what I call my Scientology book. Okay, what's the first step?
Condition of doubt.
What's the first one? Inform yourself, right? Inform yourself of the...
Inform oneself honestly of the actual intentions and activities of that group, project, or brushing aside all bias and rumor.
Okay, and the second one is decide upon that basis. What group, right?
The second step to doubt, examine the statistics of the individual, group, project, or org, as if that needs to be a step, but yeah.
No, and what? I'm going to go examine the statistic of every arsonist that ever lived in the world.
That's
based
correct.
On the fact
You're damn right you are. The hell you won't.
If I had been smart, I would have turned that into a research project and went and watched Backdraft.
Do you know why? Because that'll take you 6 months to do it, and they want you there.
But seriously, here's the thing that's insane about this is that you, in that formula, you eventually have to decide whether you want to be part of the arsonist family in the case of the trash fire, part of the key losing family in case of that, and go back and oh, put that back up. I want to know who that was.
Jackson. It was Jackson.
Oh, Jackson. Oh, Jackson. Thank you for triggering me. I appreciate that, man.
You can handle it. You were a Scientologist.
I can't. You had to decide between which group you're going to be in. And I wish I could have had a time machine. I could go back, reason I could just go, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to pick the other group and see what happens.
Pick the other group. Oh my God. No one's ever done that.
I don't think anyone's ever done it.
What's the point? I feel like I should read the third. Hold on, because they don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Read the third step. This is where you actually have to write down which group you're deciding to be part of. The trash fire group or Scientology, the in ethics upstat.
Are you suddenly an arsonist, or are you Scientologist like you've been for 40 years? Decide on the basis of the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics, whether or not it should be attacked, harmed, or suppressed, or helped.
Yep.
Evaluate oneself or one's own group, project, or org as to intentions and objectives.
Oh,
Doubt was awful. It was my least, liability sucked too. Doubt was hard though. I remember doing these as a child and I was like, what group am I picking between? I'm 6 years old.
Yeah. Grade school and kindergarten.
Or do you want to go to juvie?
Yeah, exactly. It's so absurd almost. It's it's hard to explain.
Hold on. Because number 8, remember number 8? Suffer on up through the conditions.
He actually used the word suffer. I can't believe that.
Suffer on up through the conditions.
I've talked about these formulas again, where I had a copy paste system where I just had it formatted. So whenever I had to go through any of the formulas, particularly from, normal down through danger, emergency danger, all that kind of stuff. But Reese, these were the bane of my existence. I hated.
Oh, me too. I lived in lower conditions. I think only one time I was assigned confusion. That's the lowest. Have you ever been through confusion?
By David Miscavige several times as an entire group. Yes.
Okay. So I was always assigned treason. I was always, and I loved treason and I loved enemy because it was 2 simple steps. Treason
very easy. Yeah.
Treason is find out that you are. So I was like, okay, done with that one. It took me 30 seconds. Enemy is find out who you really are. As if that doesn't make you introvert and feel like a total piece of shit. The one step to do enemy, which is a lower condition, is find out who you really are. You piece of shit. So it's like, yeah, okay, cool, done. But doubt was long.
We need to discuss in detail, since you and I were probably hold the record for some of the longest time spent in the lower conditions. We need to talk about liability and then getting the signatures. The
Have you ever been rejected?
Oh my God. There were certain people that like every time you went to go to, okay. So guys, when you get up through liability,
disapprove.
Yeah. You have to get a majority signature of every staff member in your organization.
You mind if I read it?
Yeah. Not yet. Let me tell us. Not yet.
All right.
You have to get a signature of every staff member in your organization. Now, Golden Era Productions was 500 strong at that point. And you could not do this during work. You had to, what?
Your signatures. I only had to get like 40 at the most.
No, we had to get 300 to be majority. And you could only do it during your 30-minute meal breaks. So you had to go bug people while they were eating dinner.
That's right.
For this. And sometimes they would just completely like, what are you doing? Get away from me. But everyone had that 1 or 2 people that no matter what would never sign your formula.
Is that a family member?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Oh, hey, that's my Aunt Penny.
Oh, I've heard about Aunt Penny. I love Aunt Penny.
She's awesome.
Girl. You've told me about her.
Aunt Penny, how you doing?
I love that. Yeah, I did not think about your signature situation. Oh, okay, you win. Because we both lived in lower conditions, but I only had to get like 40 signatures.
Yeah, which begs the question, if anyone was ever at Flag, I would love to know. I could ask Nathan this, but if you were at Flag, the land base in Florida, if you were in the FSO, was it just the FSO or did you have to get the whole land base? I wonder. Because of course at Golden Era Productions, even though we had Exec Strata, CMO Int, CMO Gold, we only had to get our specific organization. I'm going to guess that was the case, but yeah, no. Look, there was always those people that would just never sign you no matter what.
Me
and then
too.
your friends, you knew who your friends were because they would get the formula and they wouldn't
even read it. They wouldn't even read it.
Yeah, they would just sign it. They don't care.
But you knew the people who sometimes it was hard to get their approval and they'd read every word that you wrote, all the damage you did to make them. Yep. Then
Yeah.
they'd finally sign it, but it would take a minute. And then I had like the executive director of our org would always disapprove it for me. And she took majority. So if I got 39 yeses, if she signed no, the ethics officer wouldn't let me go forward, even though it
Wow.
wasn't majority. It was because the ED said no.
Wow.
Yeah. And she
Oh,
always said no. She hated me.
and we'll take it to another level too. When I was removed from CMO Gold and sent to Golden Era Productions, I had to do lower conditions. I got my signature. I had to get my signature from all the Golden Era Productions crew and the CMO Gold crew. But after I got out of lower conditions, I had to submit to Dave Miscavige my liability formula, which took him 4 to 5 months to look at. So I wasn't out of lower conditions until he signed it off.
How long have you been in lowers? I've been in lowers for over a year.
No, oh God, I think 2 years, 3 years straight.
Guys, do you understand when you're in lowers, you like don't even get to eat with the group. You literally you're cleaning toilets. What you're doing is I was going to read the
In my case, though, the whole organization was in lower, so it was a little. It varies depending on where you're at, but it's similar to that. It's very similar to that. Yeah.
Just so you understand, the third step of liability, the trying to get out of liability is the last lower condition until you're up back in with the group. The third step is make up the damage one has done by personal contribution far beyond the ordinary demands of a group member.
Wow.
So what that means is scrub toilets until the end of time and then go get signatures. So then the last step is apply for re-entry to the group by asking the permission of each member of it to rejoin and rejoining only by majority permission. And if refused, repeat steps 2 and 3 and 4 until one is allowed to be a group member again. So grovel until the end of time. You don't they don't eat with you. Like you are not considered a human being until you're back in good standings.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're not a member of the group.
At a class 5 org, but we got to get the question and answer soon because we could obviously go way over an hour. Sorry,
that's okay. We can go over an hour. I'm not that tight for time.
Now, you didn't have a communal eating spot, did you? I mean, we obviously had a mess like the military. That's a good question.
We had a tiny kitchen. Yeah, we had a little kitchen in our org. Yeah, where people could eat. Yeah.
Okay. You didn't go out and eat all the time. I couldn't afford it, probably.
No. Oh yeah, Barefoot April. People live like that to this day. Most of Scientologists do lower conditions quite often. My mother-in-law, Brenda, the one who looks like she's gained 75 pounds at Flag and looked terrible. That's because she was in lower conditions, and she will be for years if she ever gets out. Do they put public in lower conditions? Who signs, family or other public? Absolutely. Anybody can be in lower conditions.
I don't know. I don't know who signs. I would assume it was the field in the particular area. I would assume it would be the majority of Scientologists in that area.
I also think it depends on what you did. If you did something at the org, like if you lit the trash can on fire, but Sterling and I were not staff and just public, I would have to make amends to the org for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Depends on.
Just want to point out, though we're talking about the Scientology ethic conditions, this is one of the largest sources of brainwashing inside Scientology. The repetitive nature of making you write these things down over and over and over again when you're in trouble is a large part of the brainwashing that gets you to think that you are a bad person, that you owe Scientology something, that you maybe are on the wrong side and need to be on the right side. This does mess with your head as much as any other part of Scientology.
I was going to say, if it's not the most, it might be the biggest brainwashing thing, Sterling, the biggest tool.
I think so.
Because I think also not just because you're scrubbing toilets, but you are treated like subhuman.
Yes.
Like you're not part of the group. You're a real terrible person, and they consider anybody in lower conditions, and tell me if I'm wrong, Sterling, you are considered an enemy until you are above the lower condition.
Absolutely.
You're an enemy of the group. He says it in here that you are an enemy of the group.
You're not trusted. You won't be part of any org activities. You're kind of shunned essentially until you're through that. Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, Goosebump. Roughly what percentage of Scientology are lower conditions? And I don't know the percentage. I mean, I would say quite a few. It's very, very, very easy to get yourself into lower conditions.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, it's people like Sterling and I who, like, for instance, my dad should be in lowers a lot, but because he's given millions, he's kind of stays above that. He'd have to do a lot more than what Sterling and I would have had to do. Do you agree? I think people like who have higher status.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the Seorg rank and file, no, that wasn't the case. But you're talking about Scientology now, and I would say I would agree with that. I'm assuming that there's a much more leeway for someone that donates a lot of money or something along that lines. Yeah.
Yes. And I agree actually with this, Kim. We all want to be back in good graces of the group. That's the point Sterling's making is it's super mind effing because you're totally outed and you're treated terribly. And those were your friends.
Yeah.
And now they're suddenly not. And they treat you mean. I remember having actual friends, but then suddenly they weren't. And they like they weren't very nice to me anymore. And I was like, it's like, I would imagine how people talk, like what you've seen in high school movies and stuff. Where like, like all of a sudden you're laughed at and you're kind of ridiculed.
It's an odd experience, and I'm trying to find a correlation between something out here and the closest could be is the guy that's been arrested or gone to jail. Essentially, I would guess that would be the closest thing. Maybe your friends if. I don't know if you'd gotten assault and battery or something like that. I don't know.
That's a really good point. I know you've not streamed with Tommy, but Tommy's a great example of that. Well, he is because he's told me that like the second he tells people, oh, well, I went to prison or I was a bank robber, it's immediately that like their face changes. They treat him differently. They're like, oh, okay, this can't be trusted. He's a felon. You're probably right. If I had to ask him, he'd probably say that.
I'm going to bet on this one, guys, with Tom Cruise. That guy is such a nut about Scientology. I bet you he's put himself in lower conditions for not disseminating enough and then actually written the conditions and sent it to Dave.
Signed it himself.
Yeah, he signed it himself, or he had Dave sign it. I wouldn't doubt that at all. No, I'm sure no one put him in lower conditions, but that guy is the type of person that would be douchey enough to assign himself lower conditions and then send it up and get it signed.
But I can assure you, nobody would ever put Tom Cruise in lower.
No, definitely not, unless it was Dave, but he wouldn't do that. Yeah.
And even if Dave did that, it wouldn't be made public. No one would know.
Yeah.
So it definitely depends on your status.
Yes, it does. It does very much so. And I know Reeseling Sundays are supposed to be just an open discussion about fun things, but
no, we went all over the map, and I think people love this. I love when we just go to different places and dive. And I agree with this. One's condition was ranked similarly as one's case level. I kind of agree with that, Jackson. Like you don't ever see OT8s and lowers. You're not going to see it. Do you agree?
Not where I was at. I always saw it as, it was interesting. Like the upstart younger crowd at Golden Air Production could be looked very fairly upon in regards to production. And the guy that's OT5 that's been around for 30 years is kind of a piece of trash and not doing his job. I didn't see that, but Jackson would have had a better view of that than I did. It was interesting because, again, a lot of it had to do with the production level of the person. Like I never saw when doing org boards or organizing boards, and when we would try to post up a certain area for better production, I never really saw the case level become a significant piece of information as compared to the production level of the person or the competence or the gung-ho-ness, if that makes sense. Which almost makes you go, they don't really believe in Scientology. And I do believe that, I mean, look, I never saw Dave put any significance on a person's OT, on his case level, ever. Like, it wasn't like, oh, let me pick this guy because he's OT7. No, they picked the guy that's OT1 if he was better at doing the job. But the OT7 should be better at doing it no matter what. And those two things never came together, believe it or not. Which is a little bit of evidence that they know Scientology doesn't work. Right?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of evidence, actually. I think that's scientifically proven. Yeah, that is, I really miss talking to you. I just have to say, I miss our Sundays because I just love your energy, and I love, that we can go into this, and it's just, it's interesting because you have so much, I'm going to use a Scientology way of putting it, reality. We have so much reality on that, which means what's real, guys? Agreement. It means agreement. Sterling and I can definitely see each other's, even though we didn't have similar backgrounds really at all in Scientology, he can easily see what I tell him and I can see what he tells me. And I love that.
Right. And again, like what I've said about Reese, your particular scenario is that I did grow up in a bubble with my own parents. I assumed a lot of other people had parents like mine. I didn't know any different. So when I started hearing stories like yours, where your parent was making you do lower conditions at the age of 8, 9, and 10 and enforcing Scientology on you, that was actually a shock to my system. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
really did not realize that people had that sort of experience. And it makes me sad. It does make me sad, but which is why I also don't like lumping parents all in the same category. Because again, you know, a bad parent's worse because of Scientology, but a good parent can still be a decent parent while in Scientology, despite all the horrible rules and regulations that Scientology enforces on children. It's a fact. They can still be. You know, and I guess, you know, I'm lucky my parents ended up that way. I'm fortunate, but it's also not, I didn't grow up clearly in a bubble and in a very unidealistic environment that was in no way helped me later in life. None whatsoever. Scientology is damaging. And, you know, as almost everyone agrees, children should not be in Scientology. They should definitely not be getting any type of processing in Scientology. And for that matter, conditions. I mean, I would argue conditions are as bad. I mean, they really, those were such a mind bending, terrible experience to have to propitiate to everyone, especially I can imagine doing that as a kid, Reese. That would be so bad. But yeah, no, all parts of Scientology eventually get to that point, some quicker than others. And I think the conditions are one of the worst for sure. One of the worst.
I think
for sure.
absolute one of the worst tools to torture somebody's mind. Abigail, I don't think Sterling, I wasn't going to ask. I saw you asked it earlier. He doesn't stream enough, and he doesn't. I don't think this person would have sent. There's somebody sent me an email and they signed it KSW. Did you get an email from a KSW?
No,
Yeah,
no.
I didn't think so. I didn't think you would because Sterling doesn't do this full time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's probably not so much on the radar to be attacked.
Right.
But yeah, I really miss chatting with you. And
No,
just
it's super fun.
I just want to do this whenever you can. And I realize that could be once every other month, but I still want to keep it in as much as we can because I really enjoy it and I miss it. And I know everybody loves you, Sterling. Speaking of, while we're here, I don't know how many are watching. A lot of people are getting unsubscribed from my channel. Just I forgot to tell you guys on my earlier stream, hit subscribe, but please go over and you probably already are. Sterling, tell us the name of your channel.
Leaving Scientology and Loving Life.
I love that. So please, he's streaming from his channel. Please make sure that you subscribe to him because he's amazing. When you do stuff, it's amazing. Sterling, it's very powerful. You've done a lot of really good interviews. I love when you interviewed your mom. That was such a good one. And I look forward to you and Jenna. Do you know when you're going to do that? Like, will it be in the next month?
For sure, something in the next month. We were talking about it yesterday. Yeah, and it's you know, as far as I understand from her, it's going to be just an open conversation. Look, Jenna and I don't agree on a lot of things, or not don't agree. The thing is with my sister, we can talk about stuff and not agree, but we don't feel the need to shove it down each other's throats. Because guess what? I don't agree with Mike Brown on everything. I don't agree with Jenny on everything. I don't agree with Aaron on everything. What it is though, is that you have to give the freedom and ability for people to look at it the way they look at it and have the ability to change what their viewpoint may be in the future. But in some cases, they may not. My experience, you know what? It's not fair to say my experience is unique. I think every single person that's speaking out now has a very unique experience.
Nobody's similar.
None are the same. None are exactly alike in no way.
They're all abusive, but none of them are the same kind of abuse.
I look at Laura Anderson, for instance, and I'll give a perfect example of this. I knew her father, worked with her father. He reminds me a lot of my dad. I know in my opinion, and I think Laura thinks this about her father, he's a nice guy and actually a decent guy. And I think she wants to have a relationship with him. And that's just my opinion. I'm not totally sure. That's why the video of him walking away when she was protesting was horrific. And it kind of hit me in a really deep way. It was like, oh my God, that's terrible. But also when she posted the phone conversation she had with him, I don't know if you guys have seen that. If you haven't seen that video from Laura, you need to watch it, where he has completely blocked out any fatherly feelings for her. And it's just telling her she needs to do Scientology. She needs to do Scientology. She needs to apply Scientology. Meanwhile, she's sitting there going, I am not a Scientologist anymore. Why are you telling me this? Why can't you just be my dad? Why does all this other stuff have to be involved? And that's the exact conversation I had with my dad. And it drives me nuts because you go, I've done nothing but ever love you, Dad. You know, I know I'm a good person. I know Phil knows that Laura's a good person. Why are you just pushing this thing in front of you? Meanwhile, you're now washing dishes or doing something along that line when you could be out here living your life, enjoying life. It's so frustrating to me to see that happen
So
and to see
frustrating
it
for
happen to
everyone.
someone else. It's just frustrating because, like, man, they could have such a better life. And I do, again, all my experiences with Phil, when he was an executive, when he was in a position where he could have hurt and been nasty to people, I always saw that guy as a good guy.
Yeah.
He was one of those people that was just a good guy. No one disliked Phil Anderson except for maybe Dave Miscavige. Let's be honest. I mean, everyone liked Phil Anderson. It's kind of the same thing with my dad, Foster. There may be some people that don't like him. I'm sure he's yelled at a few people, but in general, no one's going to tell you Foster was a bad guy.
Right.
And it's those people I would love to get out so they can spend the rest of their lives doing something fun and enjoy. They've been working 24/7, every year for the past 30 years without a real break. It's so sad to me. And even though they've made mistakes as parents, I would love to see them get out, which is, again, why Mike and Rosemary, even with the little bit of load it puts on Mike, the fact that they're reunited before something happens, the fact that he'll get to see her and get to tell her he loves her before she passes, is to me invaluable. And I hope everyone gets that chance. And it is one of the things I think Scientology is the worst for, is they will go out of their way. I'm not joking. This has happened. This is not being made up. This is not something I'm assuming. They will not tell if they have a child in this organization that passes away, a son, a daughter, or if they have an elderly person, and there's people that were in Scientology and left, they will go out of their way not to tell them, so they don't get that last moment with their loved ones or their family members. It's pretty sick, but they do it.
Very sick. Yeah. It's very, very sick. And I'm so thankful that we're out, Sterling. You made such a good point about, like, Laura FM. That was such a sad story, but everybody's story is unique. It's all abuse, but it's unique and different abuse. I mean, they find all kinds of different ways to abuse. And I think that's why we're all so happy. There's this giant network of our channels now. And, you may not see us all work together, but we support each other. And, the thing I love the most about being out, and you and I have talked about this privately, Sterling, and you kind of pointed it out first, and I really adopted it, and I'm trying to do it more and more. I love, Sterling told me this once, like, he doesn't follow with everybody. He doesn't follow with the crowd. And I don't either, because you mentioned we had to do that so much in Scientology. And now it's so cool to think for yourself and do what you want to do and not go along with everybody. And whoever that may be. But I just like that there isn't you call it group think, because that's what they called it in Scientology. We don't have to do that anymore. So we can go down any rabbit hole we want. We can use our voice to say the things we want to say. And I really love that. So
and agree. Yeah. Right. And agree to disagree. I mean, we're kind of all here for the similar thing. Maybe different angles for everybody. For some, it's a great
different
way for
passions.
For extra income. For some people, it's therapeutic to talk about it. For some people, it's the reconnection process or the new friends you make on here while telling your story, finding similar realities. There's so many different outlets and things that tie into this. And
you can talk about it or not talk about it as much as you want.
There's anger on here sometimes. There's love on here sometimes. There's the supporters, which in 99% of the case, you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Every once in a while, you get people in there trying to stir the pot, stir shit. And, we can choose to ignore that, or we can choose to try to answer that. I choose to ignore most of that. It's like, no need. But we all have our individual thing, and we all have something that appeals to someone out there. Different things that appeal to different people. And you look at one of the things I love about this is I have a core group of family members that actually do watch my videos, and I get commentary or comments from them or calls, and that I love that. That's so nice. That's so cool. And a lot of them are on my dad's side of the family, who I've always been the closest to my entire life. When I left, I had no qualms about that. I reached out to all my family members, because I knew they'd be there for me no matter what, because they knew me as Sterling, not as Sterling the Scientologist, and they're awesome people, and I love them for so many reasons. I
love that. I love you, Lisa Kelson. I love that she said that. Reese, Aaron, Sterling, Tommy are so many others have helped me so much. Lisa Kelson, I hear that a lot. It never gets old. You can't put a price on that. That's why we do it. I can say that between, me and Sterling, I can speak for Sterling and say, we don't like the group think thing. And we may agree to disagree on things, but one thing we do agree on is we want to help anybody, get out and live their life outside of Scientology. I really would love to help people do that because we're on the other side of it now and it's amazing. And I hate everybody that's in there. Do you want me to go through some of the, I see you starring stuff.
Yeah, let's do it. There was a couple interesting ones.
Blakey gave you a super chat.
Oh, thank you, Blake.
I think those excited reactions are like your inner child coming out to enjoy the life he wished he had at the time. And I don't see a single thing wrong with it. I've seen it since you started your channel. That's really
Thank you, Blake. And that's actually, there's a little story with that one that I just have to say is funny. Is I'm coaching Little League now. I think I told everyone that. And after we finish practice or a game, sometimes I'll hang out in the field for a while and play catch with the kids or work on first base skills or stuff like that. And then the parents show up and they're like, Sterling, the kid's got to go now. Like, okay, I'm out. I have so much fun doing it. I'll stay out there till the sun goes down, till it's cold. But it is kind of funny. You're really right about that, Blake. There is a childhood. I got some baseball as a kid. I didn't get enough, clearly. And so I slip right back into that childhood love or a thing that I loved as a kid, the camaraderie, the playfulness, all the stuff that I like doing as a kid. Baseball kind of brings that out in me. So it's a very true statement. Thank you so much for saying that, Blake. I appreciate it.
I love that. And hi, Emily Brooks. I know you said you don't have to say anything. Thank you, Max's mom. Yeah, I'm drinking Clearly Canadian. I rarely do that, but I got one at World Market. I got two, actually.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that in a while.
Do you remember it?
In the 80s. Yeah,
oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, they were good.
Thank you, Candy's Life. That's such a nice thing to say. You too, Asen. And I like what Blake said. You'd be a great dad. Everybody in the world thinks that, Sterling. Let's see.
Thank you, Blake.
You starred that.
Oh, we didn't like that, Billy. Oh, I did by accident then. I don't know what that's referring to. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Chicocherry Cola. How did you both get to know each other? Reese, you look lovely. Thank you, babe.
Aaron, actually. I saw Reese on Aaron's channel. They did a game night the first time. Oh, no, it wasn't game night. It was Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, where you guys were pretending not to be that
one
smart.
Of those games, though. Yeah.
And I was like, well, I want in on that, man. I saw a game night. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. It brings out so many different, like if you have a little bit of a shell, a little bit of a protective covering, I think game night you break out of that very easily. And you get to see the person's personality, the quirkiness, the fun. So it was game night. And then obviously, I mean, who can't like Reese, right? So that was easy
for you, brother. Got pages. But no, that was so much fun. I remember meeting you for the first time. I pretty much immediately loved Sterling. I've never looked back. He'll be my absolute go-to. What do they call that in the outside Scientology world? Don't they call that like a ride or die?
Ride or die, I think. Yeah.
I don't love that term, but
no, neither do I.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry I said it, but I do love you. Hey, Sterling, have you made it to any Dodger games yet this year? I'm a huge something fan. I'd love you.
The $600 million man. I haven't made it to a Dodger game this year. I'm going to go. I have a close friend that's actually the mailman on the route that I work on, and he's a big Dodgers fan. So every time he delivers the mail, I run outside the office to have a conversation about baseball with him. It's really fun, and he's getting tickets, and we're going to go to a game, and I can't wait to see Shohei Ohtani. It's going to be awesome. Shohei just, is arguably the best baseball player in the world right now. He's also just happens to be a genuinely awesome person, very kind, very polite, which is a big thing for me when it comes to baseball. My favorite player is Mookie Betts on the Dodgers currently.
That's a cool name. I like that. Mookie.
He's awesome. But Mookie Betts, awesome guy too. Again, just a stand-up guy. And so I can't wait to go. I'm going to go to that. Yeah, soon. Very soon.
Likes that Salvatore guy, Salvi.
Salvi, yeah, the catcher for the Kansas City. Yeah, he's good too. Really nice guy. Yeah.
He does seem like a nice guy. Yes, Sterling, in Perimeter Council, it was discussed a public ally place where one stands in the group.
Interesting. Okay, so Perimeter Council, guys, is a this is Jackson, is a meeting they had, I think, once a week, once a month, I can't remember exactly, where they would discuss the security threats on the property. So people in lower conditions, people that had done something wrong. And they would just discuss where they stand in relation to getting handled, how far in the conditions they've moved up, et cetera, et cetera. Don't know exactly what it means, but I'm guessing that they took into account the auditing level of those particular people. I was never in the Perimeter Council, thank God. it was a strange thing for murder council, I have to say.
I was in the admin council.
You're in the admin council? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this a million times over about Jackson. I've said this to his face. And he's said in a lot of lives about his role there. He used to help capture people and bring them back and stuff like that. But I have to tell you, in my experience there, everyone's done something that they regret or they feel bad about. But Jackson, one for one, has always been a stand-up individual. I don't think you're going to find someone to argue against that. And still to this day, it happens to me all the time where someone gets injured and I'm around and, the person's either crying or traumatized. It's still what Jackson taught me while I was there that allows me to walk into that situation with probably the most calm you'll ever see me is when someone gets injured. I've learned just to breathe, tone everything down. And that sort of approach to the person that's injured helps calm that person down to a point where you can assess what the problem is, get it bandaged up, get it fixed, and to the appropriate service, whether it be a hospital or anything like that. Fortunately, no one ever goes really to the hospital around me, but it's a skill that I learned from Jackson that I'll never forget, and it helps me all the time, and I really appreciate it. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Pamela, we don't know. He's going to do a live with his sister, Jenna Miscavige, and maybe talk to her about doing a game night, but we don't have anything set up yet. We'd like to, though. And you starred this one. I feel like DM is a tortured soul. Why else would he do those insane beatings people have talked about in the past? Did you mean to star that?
Yes, I did. And it's an interesting, and I've had discussions with Dylan Gill, and I'll have some more with him again, Blow Drill.
I love Dylan.
Yeah, he's so awesome. Dissecting Dave Miscavige's personality is a very, very interesting thing to do. You wonder what and how he got the way he was. I mean, there's obviously a power dynamic inside Scientology. His father was abusive. His father was very rough around the edges. And I do think that that influenced him quite a bit. But there were points earlier in the late 80s and early 90s where Dave wasn't that bad. Now, he may have been bad to a few people, but after the Lisa McPherson case in 96, he became a complete tyrant. Something about that whole scenario set him off, and it may have been his involvement personally in programming her PC folders when she went crazy. And it was after 96 where, things went drastically downhill. You can talk to a lot of people my age, my generation, and they'll tell you in the early 90s up to about 95, things were kind of chill. We would go home on a Friday night to our apartments and we would order pizza and watch a movie, hang out in jacuzzi. After 96, and again, nothing like living the real life. I totally understand that. But after 96, it went downhill, and it went downhill very quickly, and it was nasty, and it never got better. Every year we thought, it can't get any worse than this. It got worse. And Dave was more and more a tyrant. So it's something I might want to get back into with Dylan Gill. I'm not a psychologist. It would be really interesting to hear a psychologist's point of view on Dave Miscavige. But he is a pretty abusive, nasty person. There's been discussions about it's not just Dave, it's other people too. That is so true. But I can guarantee you it started with Dave Miscavige. He's the one that started the beatings. He's the one that started the extreme conditions. He's the one that said, this is the way we should do it. He's the one that put pressure on everybody. Doesn't justify that other people did it, but it definitely started with him. And I will give him the source for that absolutely every day. And working that close to him was a nightmare. And someone else asked a question, it might come up. Guys, I was a member of the family. Again, not directly, indirectly. Dave Miscavige hated me. I don't know how many times I need to make this clear. He hated me. I actually was speaking to my mom, Biddy, the other day, and I said, Mom, did you know that Dave Miscavige hated me? She goes, yeah, last 2 or 3 years there, I knew he hated you. I'm like, yeah, he didn't like me because he would say stuff and my face would go blank and I wouldn't be like, yes, sir. If I didn't understand what he was saying, it kind of showed on my face. So he didn't like me. I didn't get special treatment. In the end, Jenna did not get special treatment from him. Justin definitely did not get special treatment for him. So, if you're too close to the sun, you get burned sometimes. And I think that was the case with David Miscavige because he figured everyone in his orbit made him look bad to some degree. And when he started going crazy, that just exponentially got bigger.
Evil as he is, don't you agree? He probably hates pretty much everybody. The guy doesn't have a lot of love in his heart. Well, think about it.
He doesn't have a lot of friends. Yeah.
No friends and no love in his heart. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure he hates certain people more than others.
Yep.
But I'm sure hatred is and jealousy. Yeah. Katie, very happy to see you back, Sterling. And hi
Thank you.
again. Love you. Katie's really cute, by the way. I don't know if you see her picture.
Yes, I do.
She's from the South, so she talks like this, and it's really
Oh, have you
cute.
spoken to her on the phone?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
she smells really good. She sent me no, she sent me a bottle of the perfume that she wears, and it's really expensive, and
Yeah.
only movie stars wear it.
Yeah.
And I wore it for the first time yesterday, and I got 3 different marriage proposals at Costco.
Wow.
So I just want you to know those things, just those highlights.
Powerful
I could
stuff.
go on
Thank
and
you.
on, but I know that you're still single, and weirdly, so is she. And she's really cute. So I just need you to know that while we're here. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Keep that in mind. I'll send you some
I'll
pictures.
keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I think
Well,
a couple more questions in there.
no.
At least I tagged 1 or 2 that were interesting.
No, you didn't. You
No,
did?
you didn't. I did.
Oh, all right. Well, look at you. You just keep going. The buck stops with Dave. If you're the leader, it's your job to make it work. If other people were acting up, Scientology, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That doesn't take away from the fact that there were other people that happily jumped on the beating train. Marty Rathbun, Marty, how would say Marty McShane? It's not. It's Warren McShane, Mike Sutter, a few other people that were really, really nasty. So it was very easy for them to get into it. But I would argue there were some people that weren't generally nasty that got nasty to try to impress Dave. But yeah, he absolutely started this, guys. There's no question. And I was talking to Jenny about this, and she said she even felt it when it started, when it reached all the way down to LA. She could feel when things got worse and worse. And so they were probably 4 months behind us on everything when that happened. So
that's crazy. Sterling, the lack of a poker face barely helps when confronted by a narcissist. I can confirm that. Asen's always full of wisdom.
yes, yeah, yes, for sure. I didn't know that. Wish I'd known that then. Maybe I would have been a better actor. Huh? Let's see what else we got. Okay, I'm gonna put this one up just for the fun of it. Sterling, a few of us heard that you haven't been around because plastic surgery. Do you confirm or deny? If by plastic surgery you mean shaving, maybe. But I definitely deny. I don't believe in plastic surgery. I don't. Yeah, I don't have the money.
Sterling didn't get plastic surgery. Yeah, no, I don't see you doing that.
No.
Chicken Terry Cola, that was Dan O'Connor.
Yeah, who was the dick with the fax machine?
I did a stream a little bit ago about him. Yeah. You should watch it. Not you.
No, not me. The person. Yeah, Jenny Linson was another one. Yeah. Particularly with me, she had. I think Jenny Linson did not like my mom, and because I was the last person there. That was one of her children. I think I got a lot of it from Jenny Linson. I'm assuming that she did not like me. I mean, she had no reason to go after me and went after me for things I didn't do wrong. And that was a horrible, it's one of my worst experiences there. One of them was connected to her. So yeah, but on the reverse, her husband was always really nice to me. Really nice guy. So crazy that happened that way, but yep, there we go. All right.
Well, I want you to let me know when you're going to do the stream with Jenna, because I'd really like to watch it.
Absolutely, I will. We'll definitely announce that. Hopefully it's soon. Okay. What are your plans the rest of your Sunday?
Well, I'm hoping to stream on my other channel that I do with Tommy called Cults and Crims.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cook dinner, and I have to run out and run an errand. So what are you doing?
I think I'm going to either hop on my Harley if my hamstring holds up. I know it makes sense with that sentence.
Why is your hamstring not holding up? That's usually a sexual injury. Did something happen?
So one thing about me is when I play sports, I play like I'm being paid to do it. And as you progress in age, you no longer can play with such enthusiasm. And so a couple weeks ago, I was playing on my Sunday softball co-ed team, and the fields in LA aren't great for all the money we pay in taxes. I completely disagree with that. They should be much better. But I was playing outfield, and the ball was hit over someone's head, and I went charging for it full speed, and I kind of dove like after running full speed. So I was like 4 feet off the ground. So when I hit the ground, it's like being in a car accident. And right when I hit the ground, my hamstring popped in my left side of my leg. So sitting down is actually quite painful. And so I've been rehabbing that. Yeah.
Sounds likely, but it is the weekend. You sure you didn't get down last night? This
Yeah.
fresh injury?
My hamstrings are great when that happens. No issues there.
I love your answer.
Yeah, no, that's no issue there. I stretched before. But I can also pace myself there. I can't pace myself on the softball field, believe it or
Wait,
not.
did you just say you stretch before? Do you stretch before you have sex?
No, I don't.
Okay, because that would be
Just
weird.
push up.
Okay, because that would be straight up weird. Okay.
That would be really weird. Trust me, it would be.
Weird.
But yeah, so I hurt my leg. So that depends on when I get on my motorcycle, how that's going to feel. Otherwise, if it's sunny on the other side of the hill, I might go over to the beach for a little bit, read a book. And oh, hey, look, Witness is there. Yeah, so I think I'll do something like that. I had a great breakfast this morning. Went to my favorite place and had a cup of coffee, read some chapters of my book, and we'll see. I don't have any sports today. Normally, I'd have softball and a Little League practice today. I got nothing today, which is nice.
You have such a fun life. I love your life, Sterling. You went to breakfast. Like he lives on a coast. Is that how people live? Like every time I talk to Sterling, he's like, "Oh, I'm sitting in a cafe, just looking at Josh Brolin as I eat my eggs." And like Anthony Hopkins just walked by. Like he sees famous people all the time. He's always like sitting somewhere having a glass of wine. Like Sterling, you get out, you live your life, and I love that about you.
Well, thank you. I spent a lot of years of my life not doing that, so I'm making up for lost time.
Not me. I'm sitting here binging on a Chipotle burrito bowl in my basement as I get ready to go live. But no, I like that you get out. I don't get out, but I don't want to either. So it's different.
Blake, you're totally right. You got to stretch the hammies first. if no one's experienced pulling a hamstring, oh my God, guys, it is not fun. It's like you got shot by a sniper rifle from 300 yards away. I've seen people do it when rounding a base, and it's like they're rounding a base full speed, and all of a sudden they just crumble and fall. And you always have a lot of empathy for that person because you know it's going to be a painful next like 3 or 4 weeks.
And again, this is why I really avoid working out and doing sports. I just want to maintain. I want to stay and live as long as I can. I don't want to get hurt.
Well, I have to say, for me, sports is a high. I literally, it's a high. It doesn't matter what sport I'm playing. It's tennis, pickleball, beach volleyball, softball. It's a high. I just forget about every one of my problems. And everything just goes away when I play sports. So I guess I'm lucky in that way.
Yeah. For me, I was trying to think like, what can I list off? And I was thinking like, hi, burritos, enchiladas, pizza, Starbucks. And I just forget about my troubles too.
But that's a high. That's completely fair as a high. That's amazing.
Yeah. I definitely forget about my life problems when I'm like eating something really delicious or cheesy or like drinking something from Starbucks.
But you don't drink alcohol, you told me, right?
No.
No. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to push alcohol in here, but there's a certain serenity that comes with having a pasta dinner with a very nice red wine. Or if you want to get the movie reference, what is it? Fava beans with a nice Chianti.
Yeah. See, mine would be like a nice peppermint mocha frappuccino in a good boutique in town.
Right. That sounds so good.
Doesn't it? They're good. A peppermint.
That sounds really good.
Frappuccino. Something like that. And shopping or walking around, flirting, eating.
Doing that stuff. I don't think you have to flirt that much, do you? You'd probably just give them a big like that.
Yeah.
Right?
But then I usually like do both eyes by accident.
Both eyes by accident, or the eye gets stuck and you have to go.
Yeah, like and then I have to drop in, and they're like, "Are you all right?" Yeah.
But you've got the sexy librarian thing going with those glasses, by the way.
I never wear these because they're not
what's the front of those called? Isn't it like I have this? They're like marbled, right?
They are tortoise.
Yeah, I think I have tortoise too. Look at that. It's just
dark.
darker.
Oh, Grandpa! Look how magnificent. What power readers you got there, Gramps?
I know, right?
Is that a +3? What are you wearing?
I'm wearing 2.0s.
Okay, Sterling, that's as high as you should go for your age. Don't go any higher.
I know, right? I know. It didn't start till I was like 45. And all of a sudden I'm riding my motorcycle and I keep my Apple Watch on when I'm riding my Harley so that I can, if I get a text or a message, it's a terrible idea still to look at that. But anyways, and I remember going like this. Shaking my arm. Why can't I read that? And then it just progressively got worse. Now I have to have a pair of glasses everywhere in my house.
Okay, but you're really cute in them. I mean, that helps. You got a good pair. But you should not even be really in a +2 at your age. Those are so cute on you. I don't know why you haven't been getting laid.
You know what, though? No joke. I wore a pair of glasses when I was in Florida once to a Mexican restaurant, and just because I had glasses on, the chick was like a Harry Potter fan or something. I don't know what it was.
Go on. Finish
No, that's it. That's the end of that
and
story.
then you ended up boning down.
What else do we have here?
Well, you know what? You're not going to get them any younger if you keep getting +2s. You need to keep that down. You really should be at a +150, to be honest, at your age. You're in your 40s.
Hockey Town, John. Sorry, that's funny. By the way, I upgraded my background. Did you not notice I upgraded my background?
I did. I saw the Dodgers sign over the.
But check it out. It's lit, by the way.
Yeah, no, just like you. You and your sign are both lit.
Lit, right? And then I got my McGuire jersey.
No, we definitely saw it.
Okay,
yeah, I have eyes.
Yeah.
I have glasses that work too. So yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Looks good.
It was Sterling steering away in a hurry. I did start that. I have a big mouth, guys. I do. Oh, I see Snoopy. Where did I see Snoopy? Yes. Yeah, Snoopy up in the corner.
Snoopy's
and then I've got
been
Woodstock. Then I've got Yoshi. And of course, John Shostowski. And I got Mookie Betts right here.
Wow. You and Huxley could live together.
Oh,
he
absolutely.
has a ton of those.
Yeah, they're really cool. Funko Pops. Yeah.
Okay. If that's what that's what you want.
And then of course I've got my beautiful sister and her book right there.
Mm-hmm.
Got Leah's book right here. Janice's book right here. Mark Headley's book and Amy Scobie's book. I've said it a million times, guys. If you want to get a history of Scientology, the Sea organization, start with Janice Grady's book, just so you get an idea of where L. Ron Hubbard came up with all these stupid ideas. Her book explains it better than anyone else. And then you can get into Leah's book to get different experiences from different perspectives. Jenna growing up in the Sea organization, Leah being a celebrity in the Sea in Scientology. They're fascinating. You definitely need to look at all of them to kind of get the whole picture of everything. And then of course, Mark's book is particular to me because I was there at the same time as him. So it's like reading a lot of things I went through. So it was very interesting. She got Reeseling right, though. She spelt it right. That's awesome.
It is, but it's true. And you need to stop being uncomfortable and start dating. Look, Katie Fulton loves baseball, by the way. Look at this. Look at this. She's the perfect girl.
Oh.
You're a boob guy, too. She has exquisite boobs. I'm serious. I've seen them. She bought them and they're really nice. And she has a pretty face. Look at him taking it down. He's like, okay.
No. It was a plug for my sister's book, which really is one of the best. I mean, since the day it first was released, I've talked about her book. She has one date wrong in there about me, which I could care less about that the date's wrong because the information's accurate. But it was it's a really good book. It's fascinating when you read the whole book about her experience. So guys, if you have not gotten her book, please get it. I don't get any profits or sales on it. I just really like the book. No, Mitch Brisker, your book is in my. It's not that I forgot your book, Mitch. Your book is in my bedroom. That sounds really creepy.
I wasn't gonna say
but I have a bookshelf in there. That's where it's at, Mitch. I think it's actually next to my reading chair. But again, another wonderful book. Mitch's book is fantastic.
Barefaced Messiah.
Yes.
I haven't fully read that.
Oh, you haven't? Ooh.
Hey, where's Cookie Monster?
Oh, Cookie Monster's right here.
John, did you send Sterling more gifts than me? Now,
John's awesome. Literally, okay.
John, I like Cookie Monster too because I like cookies.
I should move Cookie Monster up actually. There you go, John. He's gonna make a debut up here. There we go.
John, I also love Woodstock. I'm kind of feeling a little bit inadequate here. That's not true though. John sent me a book the other day, and John knows the right thing. He sends me I was just gonna say stuff I can eat. He doesn't eat his gifts. John's like, you little
that
chubby
is true,
ass.
I do not. Yeah.
John likes to feed me. He sends me chocolates because he knows it's the right thing to do. Thank you, John. I won't complain. You're right. I would rather consume mine than put them on a shelf.
Oops.
You're doing the Lord's work, John.
Sterling, I think you and Katie would make a great couple. She's a nerd like us. Look, I look at girls that are nerds that like Marvel Universe, that like Star Wars. That I have a soft spot for them. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. I really do. I think that's awesome. Yeah. You do not. to be clear, you do not have to like sports for me to like you at all. In fact, I prefer it in some ways. But yes, yeah. You must like the Swedish Chef, though. Sorry, that's a killer right there.
Yeah, I didn't know what state that had cows, so he sent me a book about it, which was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And who is the chef puppet? It's like somebody from.
No, it's a Swedish Chef.
Yeah, remember I didn't see it either.
Oh yeah. It's I always get it mixed up. It's not Sesame Street. It's the Muppets.
The Muppets.
Yeah. Swedish Chef. You know, I realized someone asked for Swedish Chef last time. But hang tight 1 second. I want to pull one up. I normally don't do this. I'm just going to do this real quickly now. Carol Barnhart. If you don't like the fact that Mitch promotes his book, or you don't like that I promote his book, you don't really have to comment on it. You just don't have to read his book, to be honest with you. His book was really insightful and really interesting and had a lot of information. And therefore, just by that fact, not even the fact that I actually enjoyed reading the book, it's valuable to the information being spread right now about Scientology. And if he makes money off it, so be it. You know, my sister made money off of her book as well. She went on every major talk show, and I support her the entire time. And I love the fact that she did it because her book is also fantastic. So keep it to yourself next time.
I didn't know he had a book.
Yeah. But I mean, no, I love it. It's a fantastic book. It's really, really well written. But Mitch is also a good writer. So,
nice.
All right.
Well,
I think we're done for the day. I'm gonna move
on that note, I would say we should move on with our lives.
Amber Vanass, 1 second. Hey, how you doing, Amber? I saw your interview with Jenny. I loved it. And I recognized you. Amber. I you know that you kept popping up in the chats. I was like, God, why do I know this girl? And when you did your interview, I recognized you. I don't remember all of our interactions, the same way that I was in the same place as Liz Ferris forever, but I don't remember interacting with her. But your interview was fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate that. I really
nice. Do. Good to see you, Amber. Okay.
Guys, I failed in playing my intro, so I'm going to play that for you on the way out because
my God, that's just funny.
Yeah. Oh, Carol Barnhart. Yes. Love Jenna's book. Guys, if you haven't read Jenna's book, please do get it. I think it's on Audible as well. I just don't know if she reads it or not. But it's a fantastic book.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm gonna hit you with my intro as my outro just because it usually brings a smile.
Okay, Sterling, I have to leave. So do I hit leave?
Nope. No, you have to listen to the whole outro. And you know that one. Here we go.
L. Ron Howard wanted to start a cult.
L. Ron Hubbard.
That's 100% L. Ron Howard.
It's 100% L. Ron Hubbard.
It's 100% L. Ron Howard. 100%. What you gotta do is break him down. You gotta L. Ron Howard him.
That's not a thing. So much about Scientology except the guy's name. That's the easiest part of it. What was it? Would he invent Scientology like after he directed Backdraft in Apollo 13?
No, that was Ron Howard. I'm talking about L. Ron Howard.
Oh my God.
Guys, can we please stop?